There is something strange about walking away from something you built with your own hands. It doesn't stop. It doesn't wait. It just keeps going, with or without you. And the hardest part? Watching it move forward like you were never there. For the first year after I left the company, I avoided everything that reminded me of it. I changed my daily routes so I wouldn't pass the warehouse. I muted old employees on social media. Even industry news. I stopped reading it completely. Not because I was angry, but because I didn't know what I would feel. The company started as a small side project in my late 20s. Nothing impressive at first. Just a simple regional logistics service. But slowly, step by step, it became stable, then successful. I handled everything. Operations, client relationships, contracts, even hiring the first few employees. It was mine. My parents used to call it a family business. But the truth was, they only noticed it after it started growing. Then, around the 6th year, something changed. The company started looking successful from the outside. And suddenly, my sister Emily started showing up. At first, it seemed normal. She sat in meetings, listened to calls, helped a little with branding. Our parents loved it. To them, it looked perfect. 2 siblings running a growing company together. But slowly, something felt off. The way people talked about the company started changing. I was still doing all the work. Still running the operations. But the introductions sounded different now. Emily is leading the company. She has a strong vision. The first time I heard that, I ignored it. I thought it was just exaggeration. But then, it didn't stop. It kept happening. And that's when I realized something was quietly shifting, without me even noticing. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Just words. Just small changes in how people spoke. But then, it became something real. One morning, a press release went out. I didn't get a call. No meeting. No warning. I saw it online, just like everyone else. A clean photo. My sister Emily, smiling confidently. The headline announced a leadership transition. Her name was at the top. Mine, mentioned once, near the bottom. Founder, now stepping back to explore new opportunities. That was it. Years of work, reduced to one quiet sentence. I didn't yell when I spoke to my parents. I remember how calm everything felt. Almost too calm. My father sounded practical. Almost uninterested. Emily is better with people, he said. The company needs that. My mother added softly. You were never the type who wanted attention. That sentence stayed with me. Not because it was wrong, but because it was used to erase everything I had built. 2 weeks later, I packed my office. No drama. No arguments. Just silence. Employees watched as I placed files into boxes. Books, documents, pieces of my life. Some of them asked, "Are you really leaving?" I simply said, "Yes." And then, I walked out. At first, I believed the company would be fine. It had strong systems, reliable clients, a team that knew what they were doing. I thought, maybe it didn't need me anymore. But over time, small cracks started to appear. A supplier casually mentioned late payments. A client asked if I was still involved, because things felt different. I didn't ask questions. It wasn't my place anymore. Months passed. Then one evening, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. But I did. It was Daniel, one of the warehouse supervisors. He had been there almost from the beginning. His voice was normal. Calm. But what he said wasn't. Staff turnover was increasing. Clients were quietly leaving. Decisions didn't make sense anymore. Nothing sounded dramatic on its own. But together, it told a different story. A story I knew very well. When you've built something from the ground up, you recognize the signs before anyone else does. And the pattern forming here was not a good one. Then he asked me something simple. "Are you coming back?" I paused. And then I said, "No." But after that call, The silence didn't feel the same anymore. After that call, the updates didn't stop. They didn't come from my family. Never from them. They came quietly, through conversations, through industry whispers, through things that didn't need explanation. Missed deliveries, contract disputes. A client I had worked with for 5 years, suddenly gone. At some point, you stopped needing confirmation. You just know. And I knew exactly what was happening. Almost a year after I left, my phone rang again. This time, it was my mother. Her voice sounded careful, controlled, like everything was fine, even when it wasn't. "We were hoping you could stop by the office," she said. "Emily could really use your perspective." Perspective. That word felt heavy. I told her I would think about it. But the calls didn't stop. They became more frequent, more serious. Then one night, Emily called me directly. No small talk. No pretending. "We're in trouble," she said. Her voice wasn't confident anymore. The story came out slowly. Clients had left faster than expected. Expansion had created debt. Cash flow was under pressure. Key employees had already walked away. Each problem alone wasn't shocking. But together, it was collapse. Then something changed everything. A week later, I received an email. Not from my family. From the bank. A restructuring advisor wanted to speak with me. Not to bring me back, but to ask if I would help fix what was breaking. That moment made one thing clear. This wasn't a family issue anymore. This was business. Serious business. I agreed to meet. The numbers were worse than I expected. Deadlines closing in. Suppliers waiting. Penalties stacking up. Without a plan, the company wouldn't survive the year. That same evening, my parents called again. This time, no pretending. "You built this," my father said. "You understand it." In the background, I could hear Emily. "We just need you to come back and stabilize things." Stabilize. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I said something they weren't expecting. "I'll help. Under one condition." Silence. "The company goes through full restructuring. Independent oversight. Professional management. Real accountability. Not family control. Not titles given without responsibility. Real structure." Emily understood immediately. "You're asking us to give up control," she said. I replied calmly, "No. I'm asking you to save the company." And that was the moment everything became clear. This was no longer about me coming back. It was about whether they were ready to face the truth. Because sometimes, saving something doesn't mean holding on to it. It means letting go of the illusion that you were ever in control. If you made it this far, you already understand something most people don't. Building something is hard, but walking away from it and watching what happens next, that's a different kind of strength. Backhand index pointing right. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because sometimes, the hardest truths are the ones we avoid the longest.